Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. As it is time, we'd like to start the presentation of the fiscal year 2018 financial results by Nissan Motor Company Limited. The financial results will be on a consolidated basis. We'd like to start the press conference now. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen, despite the very busy, demanding schedule and despite the late hours. Thank you for coming all the way to Yokohama to attend this press conference. And then, without further ado, I would like to call upon President CEO Mr. Saikawa to provide you with the presentation and the explanation.
Saikawa-san, the floor is yours. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the announcement of Nissan's fiscal year 2018 financial results. Today, I will outline our global sales performance, the full year financial results, and the fiscal year 2019 outlook. I will then give an overview of the new Nissan transformation, a program that we started to reform the operational structure of the company. Starting with the financial results for the fiscal year 2018. Consolidated net revenues were 11.157 trillion yen. Operating profit totaled 318.2 billion yen. And net income was 319.1 billion yen. Free cash flow for the automotive business was a positive 191.1 billion yen. We ended the period with an automotive net cash position of 1.6 trillion yen. As Mr. Karube reported last time, the figures remain unchanged. Moving on to the sales performance. This is the global sales performance for fiscal year 2018. In fiscal year 2018, global total industry volume dropped, while our retail volume slight decrease further, 4.4% drop in our retail volume, reaching 5.516 million units of sales volume. In China, Japan, Latin America, Thailand, and Philippines, we increased the sales while decreasing in US and Europe. As a result, we lost sales by 4.4% year-on-year. The market share was 6%. Moving on to the key markets, which is in one slide. In the top half, in Japan and China, we grew sales steadily. As you may know, in Japan, e-POWER is appreciated on Nissan Note, and in fiscal year 2018, Nissan Note came into the top selling position among registered cars, and Serena became the best-selling minivan. In China, despite a difficult market that declined, Nissan sales increased 2.9%, resulting in a market share increasing by 0.3 percentage points to 5.9%, which is close to 6%. In contrast, as you can see in the bottom half, North America and Europe, the things remain difficult. Sales declined in the North Americas as we normalize sales. And in Europe, as we described last time, in order to comply with the environmental regulations, and there were supply issues. So this year, 2018 and 2019 will remain difficult in Europe. Moving on to the variance analysis of the operating profit. Before that, this is the financial result. I will not repeat myself. Operating margin stood at 2.7%. Net income was 319.1 billion yen. Next page, please. This is the profit variance in detail. Forex impact and regulatory compliance mainly in Europe and cost related to this, and the commodity price and tariffs. The climate surrounding the auto industry was tough, so 210 billion yen of headwind was what we faced. As you can see on the far right, in pure performance of the company, as the sales volume declined, we have a negative contribution. Operating sales activities, this exceeded the Monozukuri positive contribution. In US, we extended the CVT warranty in US and we lost some profit as a result of this. And here you see the pro forma basis, which consolidates 50% of the Chinese joint venture. Net revenue was 12.968 trillion yen. Operating profits stood at 493.2 billion yen, 3.8% of operating margin. At this basis, free cash flow was 280 billion yen and net cash was 1.92 trillion yen. Moving on to the fiscal year 2019 outlook. This is the sales volume that we expect. Sales volumes are planned to go to 5.54 million units from 5.516 million units, which is a slight increase, which is in line with the TIV trend. And in China, we expect our sales to grow. While Japan and China, the sales grow, while North America, US, and in Europe, we continue to see a sales decline. So we would like to hit the rock bottom in 2018 and 2019 and reverse the trend in the following years. And based on these sales assumptions, this is the financial forecast. Net revenue is expected to come down by 2.4% to 11.3 trillion yen, slight decrease. Operating profits targeted to reach 230 billion yen, down 27.7%, and net income is expected to reach 170 billion yen. The profit variance will be described later. Net income is largely declining because of the structural reform of the business, which incurs costs, and these costs are incorporated. Despite the challenging environment, we will keep on investing to recover our competitiveness. So therefore, we will increase spending for new product launches, investments on advanced technologies such as CASE and other spending. This is the operating profit variance analysis. As we saw in fiscal year 2018, we expect the significant impacts from foreign exchange and product enrichment costs, including regulatory compliance and rising commodity prices, as well as tariffs. These items have a big impact, and in all three, we have 200 billion yen of negative contribution. On the other hand, we are counting on the company's performance to produce a positive impact of 112 billion yen. In this, volume and mix and manufacturing costs and the manufacturing costs to prepare for the new cars are making negative impact, but this will be offset by efforts such as reducing purchasing costs, incentives, and produce 112 billion yen worth of positive impact. As a result, we come to 230 billion yen of operating profit. Operating margin, this is equity basis. Without including the Chinese joint venture, it will stand at 2% of operating margin with 230 billion yen of absolute amount of operating profit. Moving on. This is the dividend for fiscal year 2018. The board is proposing the year-end dividend of 28.5 yen per share. Together with the interim dividend of 28.5 yen per share that was paid last November, we are maintaining a full year dividend of 57 yen per share as we previously stated. For fiscal year 2019, which will start from fall, considering the unfavorable external environment, latest business status, which I described earlier, and investments required to recover competitiveness, and cash on hand, we would like to adjust the dividend to 40 yen per share. In order to restore our business as soon as possible and deliver an appropriate and attractive shareholders' return as we recover our performance, we intend to continue making efforts and carry out the new Nissan transformation program, which I would like to present now. So that was all for the fiscal year 2018 results and the fiscal year 2019 outlook. The performance is a challenging one, and we want to change this. Today, we are working on new Nissan transformation. There are three subjects that I would like to talk about. One is governance transformation. Second one is organizational transformation. And the third one is what I described earlier, which is about recovery from where we stand today. Governance transformation. As you may be aware, last December, we established a special committee on improving governance consisting mainly of the independent experts, and which was formed last December. And based on the recommendation, we are taking actions. So far, at the board level, in June, Nissan's board decided the following. After June, we are intending to transition to the three statutory committee structure, and the chair of the board shall be an independent outside director. And thirdly, establish the corporate guideline for corporate governance. These are already determined by Nissan's board. And based on the recommendations by the special committee, there are 38 items in total, and there are 32 items related to the board meeting. So we would like to establish a corporate governance guideline and incorporate these items recommended by the special committee on improving governance. And part of this will be reflected in the board regulations, committee regulations, and articles of incorporation at need. And our challenge is the abolition of CEO reserve and dismantlement of the office of CEO. These necessary actions are taken from the ones that we are ready. The Provisional Nomination and Compensation Advisory Council is going to recommend a list of director candidates. Nissan's board will deliberate on the recommendation, and upon the approval of shareholders at the general meeting of the shareholders scheduled for June, Nissan will begin operating under the new governance structure. Compared to the ordinary pattern, this is extremely a tight schedule. Usually in other companies, they spend about 1 year to transition to a committee system. But in Nissan's case, after we received the recommendation from the special committee, in a little more than 3 months, we are trying to transition to the new system. But this is very important. This is the first year of the new governance structure for Nissan. So that is why we are trying to make it happen. Next is organizational transformation. As of May 16th, the following changes will take place. A new Chief Operating Officer and Vice CEO are appointed to ensure operations that are more effective. Moreover, the corporate officers who are leading the major regions in the global operation, Japan, North America, and China, are joining the highest decision-making body of Nissan, the Executive Committee, EC in abbreviation. The auto industry is facing significant changes. In order to expedite business transformation, which is one of the top priorities, a dedicated corporate officer, who is Mr. Seki right here, was appointed, and we have one executive, Kawaguchi-san, in charge of the governance. Under this new leadership, one Nissan team will execute operations. Let me talk about, before talking about the next steps, let me describe what we are facing. As I described earlier, the company faces poor results. Our initial, the portfolio of the midterm plan is as follows. These are the business profitability that we were intending to achieve in the major markets. And the major markets, US, Japan, and China, in these key regions, we were intending to maintain a 10% operating margin during the midterm plan. In the rest of the markets, including Europe, we were trying to shoot for 5% of profitability. By doing so, we were trying to maintain 8% of the global operating profit. As you can see on the left, this is the result of fiscal year 2016. So, starting from fiscal year 16 results, if we have had gradually improved the profitability of North America, we would have been close to the goal that I described earlier. On the right-hand side, you see where we are today in fiscal year 2018. As you can see, global operating margins stood at 3.8% compared to 6.9% in fiscal year 16. This is a pro forma basis, consolidated proportionate basis of Chinese joint venture. And in US, we say we saw a big deterioration in profitability. How about Japan and China? In these two countries, we continue maintaining a healthy profitability. As I have been saying, in US, in the latter half of the previous midterm plan, we tried to expand the business and relied on incentives to push the sales. And after the TIB peaked out, as the other car makers increased the incentive spending, the competitiveness intensified. So even if we spent a lot of money on incentives, we were struggling to boost the volume. And in order to compensate for this, we increased the fleet sales ratio. We were in this cycle and damaged the brand and the product competitiveness. And the dealers, this affected the dealers as well. So once we lose the momentum, including the dealers' relations, it will take time to restore and recuperate, and we are ready to take time. We said that we will do it in 2017 and 2018. Yes, this is true. However, we would like to spend enough time to restore this situation. And there's another key. As you can see on the right, European profitability is declining. In the expansion strategy of Nissan Power 88, we made tremendous amount of investments, especially in compact cars. We made a big investments in emerging countries. And here, we were unable to get the return that we expected, and this is becoming a big burden on the company. We have an excessive capacity and unprofitable operations, which are becoming a big burden on the company. And these two issues are what we need to address today. And what to do about the second half of the current midterm plan? We need to look at what's beyond 2022. We face imminent challenges from technological innovations such as CASE, and we need to assume leadership and be ready for the business evolution what is beyond 2022. This is a must-have strategy, and we have to do it in advance. So we shouldn't slow down in this area. But on the other hand, we have a burden of the investments made in the past. We cannot do both. So we would like to put more focus or concentrate on business evolution. And for the burden, while improving the profitability, we would like to pick what are promising and what's not. We will do a selection and concentration and take drastic reform. That's the direction that we are trying to pursue up to fiscal year 2022 in particular. That's the company's decision. And we are already working on it. From this viewpoint, What are the challenges? Largely, the challenges are as follows. The biggest source of profit, which is U.S. operation. We need to recover the U.S. operation, which used to be a big source of profit. And the second one is the enhancement of operational investment efficiency. This is what we need to clean up what we have done in the past and optimize it and narrow down what we need to invest for the future. And based on this policy, in the past, we overstretch ourselves to grow our business. So going forward, we need to ensure steady growth through new products, new technologies, and Nissan Intelligent Mobility that we have been promoting. This is the mindset or attitude. In a nutshell, cost structure and unprofitable operations should be cleaned up, including the production capacity. Such surgery should be done fast. While sales expansion, especially the recovery in the U.S. operation, should not be done in haste. Without haste, based on the Nissan Intelligent Mobility strategy, we will enhance the brand attractiveness to ensure steady growth. That's the position that we are taking. People tend to compare Nissan of today with Nissan in 90s before Nissan Revival Plan. But what's the difference between Nissan Revival Plan and today? Today we have solid business pillars such as China and Japan. So we use China and Japan as a benchmark to make improvements in the rest of the regions. And our financial strength is healthy, as I said. Therefore, now is the time to take bold actions and be ready for the future. This is very critical. Next subject is the U.S. business recovery. As I have been saying, I'm going to skip the details. As you can see the summary here, what happened in the past is as follows. In a nutshell, the products or portfolio was the portfolio age was getting older from 3 years to 5 years, while overall opinion, brand value, or over against the overall opinion, our market share was much higher. So our customers bought our products for discounts rather than competitiveness or brand value. We were buying the market share. And the average age of our portfolio was growing because globally we saw the similar tendency. As I said, Nissan made tremendous amounts of investments in emerging countries to increase its scale. Around 2013 and 2014, we focused our investments in the emerging countries while reducing the investments in new cars, and as a result, we postponed the product launch timing, and we are suffering from the repercussion. So we need to recover. From fiscal year 2019 and onwards, as you can see in the graph, new products that in the pipeline will arrive in the markets. Not only the age of the portfolio will be rejuvenated, but the lineup under the Nissan Intelligent Mobility strategy, ProPilot Assist, Safety Shield, connectivity-equipped vehicles will be arriving in the market. So at the same time, we will communicate advanced technologies in an effective manner to gain appreciation of the customers and increase retail volume as a consequence. This is the overall tempo that we are pursuing. Steady growth. Reinforcement of Nissan Intelligent Mobility. Nissan will not overstretch ourselves to increase the sales share. Steadily, we will recover the sales, and 1.4 million units is where we would like to bring back the sales volume to as a first step or first milestone. Needless to say, fleet sales ratio will largely reduce. So the majority of the sales recovery will be done as we reduce the fleet sales ratio. So the pure retail volume will largely grow. You don't see the numbers, but the fleet ratio should be around 15%. But today, we are planning to reach around between 15 and 17%. And thanks to new products and new technologies, we will increase attractiveness of products and increase the revenue per unit and sales. The revenue is to be increased. So we would like to go back to the peak level of revenue that we enjoyed in fiscal year 16 or even slightly exceed this level. Profit margin. I don't see the specific numbers here, but today the profit margin is poor. It's around 1% or 2% today. So in fiscal years 2018 and 2019, we expect to hit the rock bottom so that we can recover going onward. In this, there are two key factors: reducing fleet sales ratio, that's one, and the other one is discounts and incentives should be largely reduced. On this graph, you see the 5 percentage points difference. This is the improvement that we are shooting for. We will not go back to the level that we have been stretching in 2016, but I think this is an appropriate level to be at. So we will reduce the incentives to this level because this is what we need to do. For fiscal year 2022, we shouldn't push sales to secure profit. Rather, we will look for more healthy and sustainable profit improvement. Once we get into this royal road, it will take time. People may question why we are not delivering results soon, but we need to be patient here. U.S. team have understand this and working hard. In the past, we used to suffer from the top-down push, and that's why we are in this situation. But now is the time to recover and recuperate the performance. While doing so, we would like to gain back the confidence of the dealer. So I would like to ask you to give us time so that we can recover the performance. And the second item, which is about the investments. Better efficiency of operational investments. We couldn't achieve the growth and profit that we intended for, so we have an excessive capacity. This is as a result of the investments in the past. So this is an inefficiency which will be addressed drastically. Production efficiency have a lot of means. This will generate 10% of enhancement and overcapacity, which we perform a surgery with, and this will generate the impact of 10% benefit. These are the targets for these two aspects. And partially, some part of the actions are underway. So 4,800 people. Financial impact is 47 billion yen, but the full year impact will be 30 billion yen benefit. These items are already ongoing. And today, I cannot give you further details, but in reality, we are taking actions in wider scope. Moving on. Here. What I described earlier is about cleaning up the investments made in the past. Going forward, for the future, we need to ensure selection and concentration. And mainly around unprofitable product segments, we would like to enhance efficiency by about 10%. Strategic focus or selection should be made. We have to make sure we pick the segments that are promising. The in the regions or products where we are not strong, based on the assumption win-win-win spirit, we would like to gain support of Renault and Mitsubishi Motors, who are partners, and using their assets, we would like to enhance the efficiency of the allocation of resources so that we can concentrate on further strengthening the areas of strength of Nissan. This is very important. At high speed, we are taking actions and making updates, including the rationalization items that I described earlier. Around July, I believe that I can present a more specific plan. Until then, we would like to complete the specific action plan. And where is the area we should concentrate on? This is the source of growth. Gradually, slowly but surely, we would like to enhance revenue, and this is the core area to make this happen. As you see, during this time, all core models will be renewed. And case technological innovations in case, we will commercialize and market application of technological innovations to adapt to case before other car makers. This remains a top priority for the company. Under the strategy of Nissan Intelligent Mobility, we put it into a package and want the customers to see how attractive this is. Globally, more than 20 models will be introduced during this time, so will be an intensive effort. And one of the strengths is electrification. And in the area of electrification, we will not just simply electrify vehicles. Rather, we will use motor-driven vehicles, Nissan Leaf, Note e-Power, Serena e-Power, which are appreciated by the market. The customers appreciated not only the performance, but the new automobile value of the driving feel and single pedal operation that electrified vehicles provide. Not only environmental performance and fuel economy. As you can see, motor-driven vehicles, this is the total of EV and e-Power. This ratio in the sales volume by 2022 should, in Japan and Europe, should be reaching more than 50%. More than 50% will be the motor-driven vehicles, and gasoline-driven cars will be less than 50%. And globally, this ratio will be around 30%. Current e-Power and current EV, in addition to these current models, we would like to widen the application. So high-performance technologies are in the pipeline. On the front and rear, we'll have a big capacity battery, a 4WD. This is one of the area for offensive. And another core area, which is ProPilot Assist. This is within the package of Nissan Intelligent Mobility. We are delivering ProPilot technology starting from Serena, Nissan Leaf, X-Trail, Rogue, Qashqai, and the new Nissan Days are adopting this ProPilot Assist. And globally, cumulative sales of vehicles equipped with the ProPilot technology reached 350,000 units. And these are the cars actually used across the globe. Nissan will keep on widening the application of the ProPilot technology. According to the plan today, by fiscal year 2022, we would like to reach the annual sales of 1 million units and launch 20 models equipped with the ProPilot technology in 20 markets and increase annual sales to 1 million units. This ProPilot technology keeps on evolving. Nissan plans to adopt ProPilot 2.0, which enables autonomous driving on multiple lanes on the new Skyline in Japan, the world first, soon. This is linked to navigation system, and on the multiple lanes, this enables autonomous driving. It's in between level 2 and level 3 of autonomous driving. Motor-driven vehicles and Nissan Intelligent Mobility, autonomous driving technologies. These technologies will be put into a package, not a demonstration, but as a mass production cars, we will deliver them to the customers in an affordable way. We have a scheme to do that. So this is an updated version of Nissan's DNA of technological excellence in the era of case. And in order to make sure the customers recognize, appreciate Nissan Intelligent Mobility and the value, we will work hard. With this, we want our customers to be attracted to our brand rather than buying our products and services because of discounts. Let me talk about the midterm outlook. The growth that we are planning for and the new initiatives that I described today, Nissan is targeting to improve its profit by around 500 billion yen by fiscal year 2022. Approximately 300 billion yen is due to cost challenge or cost structure reform and enhancement of efficiency of the investments, and 200 billion yen is for the revenue growth, mainly based on Nissan Intelligent Mobility, including normalization of sales. This is the breakdown. In the 6-year plan, when we started the current midterm, I said that we need to make a revision of the plan in the middle of the course. But there was a big slowdown in U.S. So 16.5 trillion yen was a revenue objective that we initially assumed, but this will be reduced to 14.5 trillion yen. And the operating margin of 8% will be revised to 6%. I'm not trying to make any excuse, but at the level of 6% operating margin, electrification ratio will be 30% globally, and the new portfolio of younger than 3.5 years. For the future, we are ready to adapt to the changes in the market in the era of case. Another thing is that expansion strategy entailed the investment burden and the sales push. As I said, under the leadership of ex-chairmanship, this was the expansion strategy we pursued. So we will change the course to pursue more sustainable growth. That's what we are intending to do. U.S. recovery, operational and investment efficiency improvement, and steady growth through new models, new technologies, and Nissan Intelligent Mobility. These are the challenges that we intend to address. Today, I presented the essentials or skeleton of the initiatives up to fiscal year 2022. In terms of operational and investment efficiency enhancement, this should be done fast. And first, I would like to spend 2 years, and in fiscal year 2021, we would like to go back to the level that is close to our goal for fiscal year 2022. We will perform surgery boldly and swiftly, while ensuring steady growth without haste or overstretching, and we will not slow down our actions to develop new technologies for a case and what is beyond. Under this policy, we would like to carry out the operation. I will present more specific actions and updates around July. So that concludes my presentation. Based on this understanding or assumption, let me give you further comments. We would like to get out of the consequences of the unprecedented incident, and we have just started anew, and there are a lot of challenges to address. And we need to get out of the situation, recover from this performance. This is our top priority. Honestly, last year there was a case that happened, including the relationship with Renault. There was a time where we were unable to concentrate on operation. The people on the GEBA, employees, customers, and the business partners were anxious, and I'm sorry about this. Directly or indirectly, the results, this was reflected in the company's results. Most of the problems that I presented today is a negative legacy coming from the old leadership. Since the case happened, we were slow in taking necessary countermeasures. That's an internal problem. But in this era of transformation, we would like to get out of these problems and make recovery happen as soon as possible. Customers, shareholders, stakeholders. I apologize to you for all the inconvenience, and as a result, I am reducing the dividend. I would like to express my regret about this. At the same time, Nissan, unlike what's before Nissan Revival Plan, we know what to do. And our financial strength is healthy. And today is a rock bottom. In the next 2 years or 3 years, in the longest period of time, we would like to go back to the original status of Nissan. So please give us time to recuperate. And to this end, new governance structure and the alliance, we need to stabilize the relationship with Renault. These are essential. Before answering your questions, let me make a presentation. Lately, media is reporting about the relationship between Renault and Nissan, and I'm sure you're concerned about it. Well, regarding this matter, Mr. Sanar and myself, we have a confidence or trust between the two, and we are openly discussing about the relationship between the two entities, and this is underway. And naturally, capital participation is one of the subjects raised. Of course, Mr. Snar's opinion and my opinion are different. There's a difference. We recognize this. In one sense, from Nissan's viewpoint or Renault's viewpoint, there are differences, of course, because we are different companies. We are openly discussing different options. This is important for the future. However, what we are agreeing with Mr. Asnar is the fact that this is not the right time to discuss about this subject. Nissan should first concentrate on stabilizing the operation and performance, and that's what he wants us to do. And this is the subject. This is fully supported by Mr. Sanar. Nissan alone, if you look at Nissan alone, annually, we have 6 million units plus. I talk about the sales volume, but without overstretching the sales volume, 6 million units or between 6.5 million units and 6 million units is what we are targeting at, and steadily grow our sales. And revenue will be between 14 trillion yen and 15 trillion yen. Nissan of technology DNA still exists, and we have enough capability to compete effectively in the future, and we need to continue growing as a company. This is the right course, but we need to adapt to the technological innovations of CASE and adapt it to the business structure transformation and the market changes. But rather than being alone, having a partnership will be a big opportunity. And if we are successful in partnership, we will be successful. If not, this may be a weakness. So going forward, together with Renault and Mitsubishi Motors, we would like to evolve or develop the alliance in a stable manner, and we will continue collaborating with Mr. Sanar to make it happen. That's my intention. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention. I am happy to entertain your questions. Yes, thank you very much. We would like to move on to the Q&A session. If I may, we are running out of time, so please limit yourself to one question per person. Thank you for your kind understanding. Yes, the person at the front, please.
すいません。
Nikkei Shimbun, my name is Okada. The outlook for fiscal year 19 operating margin is 2%, which is very low. Revenue is 11 trillion yen. And operating margin is so poor. Why? Please elaborate. Regulatory compliance, performance. Roughly, there is a decline in 110 billion yen or 120 billion yen increase. I don't know how tough the situation is, so could you give us a more breakdown? And business structural reform cost, how much is it? During Nissan Power 88, you invested in BRICS and ASEAN, and you have an excess capacity, you said. But what is the burden of the fixed cost? What is the burden of fixed cost, and how are you going to apply a scalpel here to make improvement? That's my question. Thank you. In fact, on this matter, the red ones written here, this is the industrial the impact which is affecting the entire industry, and I think other car makers are impacted similarly. But in Nissan's case, Europe and US, in both countries, in US and Europe, we are impacted. So this impact is a bit large, I believe. And performance, for the pure performance, as I said, profit in US is hitting a rock bottom, but this is not recovering. We are struggling to recover profit in US. But Europe, regionally, in fact, this year, 2019, will be a rock bottom for European operation. As supply comes back from next year, we are trying to recuperate. So that's a rock bottom that we are facing. And roughly, traditionally, revenue were falling short. We couldn't sell as much as we planned, and we compensated for this shortfall with cost reduction or stretching the cost reduction. But this part is facing a limit, reaching a limit. Vehicle portfolio age is 5 years, and this is related to the portfolio age. So in that sense, a lot of negative factors piled up, and here we are today. So later, how much is the cost of business structural reform? That will be described by Karube-san, who is the CFO. So in this situation, we are facing the rock bottom. So in other words, I don't know how to put it, but from this current situation, after 2020 onwards, we will gradually recover. For example, in US, today, in US, if we increase fleet ratio and stretch the sales volume, naturally, we can generate several billions of yen of profit improvement. But without doing this, we would like to endure and make things better in a sustainable way and hit the rock bottom. That's my intention. And for the cost, as I said, for this from the second half of fiscal year 2019, gradually we will see new products in the pipeline to arrive in the market, which means that the situation will be better. The relationship between cost and revenue will grow better as we launch new products, and so this will help improve. So I don't know how to put it. Not a it's a plateau or rock bottom. In fiscal years 2018 and 19, please allow us to give us time so that we can concentrate on the recovery. Thank you. Karube-san, please. Yes. As you asked, what is the cost for reform? This is operating profit. In the Japanese standard, this will not impact the operating profit because it's a reform cost. Later, I will, if you look at the figures that we are describing for 2019, this is the additional retirement allowance, which is 40 billion yen, which is 40 billion yen, which is reserved for fiscal year 2018.
はい、それでは、今度1問目。
Next question then, we'll go to this gentleman, please. Thank you very much. Yomiuri Shimbun, Nakajima is my name. Mr. Saikawa, I would like to ask about your own position. So the performance has really fallen significantly, and going forward, you're saying that you want to recover over the next 2 or 3 years. That's what you mentioned. But conversely, Mr. Saikawa, under your leadership, your company really went down under your management. So you're considering a new structure. You mentioned the changes and transformation will take place. When you consider that, Mr. Saikawa, you were very close to the former chairman, Mr. Gon. Should you not resign and make a fresh start? I think that's one way of looking at it. So bearing that in mind, Mr. Saikawa, at what timing do you intend to hand over to the next successor? What's the best timing for you to hand over the reins? That's my first question. Well, as far as this matter is concerned, as I've mentioned consistently on this matter, this performance, I regret that this is the level of performance that we are showing you. But as I mentioned earlier, it's important that we make a new, fresh start. So I want to make sure that we're able to make a new start. That was the view that I had up until now, as I've consistently mentioned. Of course, we should take appropriate responsibility. But I want to really push forward the recovery of the company. That is the intention that I've always had. My position has not changed. Now, as far as what will happen to my own position going forward, this is a matter that, of course, the timing is something that I should, of course, decide upon. But at the same time, we have to have the approval of the board, rather. And of course, we have to get the views of the shareholders as well. But at appropriate timing, we would like to hand over to the successor. But at this juncture today, that is, I really cannot say anything beyond this point at this juncture. I would appreciate your understanding. Thank you.
Sean McLean from the Wall Street Journal. Apologies for the question in English. Mr. Saikawa, you briefly talked about the difference of opinion between yourself and Mr. Senard on the capital structure. And last month, you were approached by SMBC Nikko, who was hired by Renault, to talk about this new holding company plan. Have you spoken to them, and what's your opinion of this holding company plan?
ですね、
I don't have anything to answer your question directly. However, as I said earlier, between Mr. Senard and myself, every day, on the day-to-day basis, we are exchanging about different subjects. And within this discussion, there are differences in opinion. That's what I meant. And naturally, capital partnership was one of the subjects raised. And in this, Mr. Senard has one direction in mind, which is about integration or merger. That's his idea, and I know this. On the other hand, a different direction. He is open to discuss on other direction. I'm aware of this. There are different means and different direction, I told you. And in that sense, he is open to any discussion. And people have different opinions. And Mr. Senard is a director of Nissan board. And other directors of Nissan, there are many people are against the merger idea. And as my position as follows, as I have said in the past, this remains unchanged. Although this is what we see, but when we hold a discussion, we need to look at the wider perspective and look for different options that should be discussed. But as I said, what we confirmed to Mr. Senard is that this is not the right timing to discuss about this matter. Today is the time to concentrate on recovery of the performance of Nissan. That's what everyone understands and agrees.
はい、ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much. Next question, please.
Asahi Shimbun.
Kimura from Asahi Shimbun newspaper. Thank you very much. Well, in your conversation with Mr. Sinard, you mentioned that now is not the time to, now's the time to focus on performance recovery, and you agreed upon this timing with Mr. Sinard. That's what you mentioned. But when you say now, for now, are you saying that or are we talking? Do you mean the plan up until fiscal year 2022, or is it just for the time being? Can you identify what you mean by for now? And also on a related note, sorry, you mentioned that your position remains unchanged. Are you saying that, Mr. Saikawa, you are against the integration? That's my question. Thank you very much. Well, in reality or in actuality, when is that time? We haven't discussed the specific timing per se. Right now, we should be focused on recovery of the performance, and we have not discussed anything beyond that. And the other point was, as far as the substance is concerned, we have not been able to delve that in that great depth. But as far as I'm concerned, the mere, economic structural integration as a form. And also, we have to consider the substance, the customer base, and the technical prowess of Nissan is the strength. So outward integration could actually undermine the internal strength that we have. So what are the potential benefits? And also, what are some of the issues on hand? When you consider everything, then this could have simply a very strong negative impact. So I have been consistently very negative against this. That's my position. Thank you.
Yes, the person at the front. World Business Satellite. My name is Yamakawa. What is the future plan in this document? We don't see the name of Renault in your document. Practically, it's gone. Does it mean that you are not trying to expand the partnership or collaboration between Renault? Or if nothing is determined and you are not putting the names of Renault in this document, it's better to merge and increase the speed of decision making. What do you say? One thing, well, today, I didn't give you specific actions, so maybe it's hard to understand. But just one thing, going back to the document, where was it? Portfolio age. In this portfolio, I said that the areas where we are strong is C, D, E segments and frame SUVs. Renault is strong in A, B segments and European commercial van. These are obvious. So in other words, in these areas where we are weakened, Nissan is working on AB alone today. So here, of course, except for Japanese K, which we collaborate with Mitsubishi Motors, globally in A and B segments, we would like to take bold actions to gain support of Renault or rely on Renault. That's part of the plan. And this is hard to explain, but as I described earlier, the cleaning up the operation, there are areas where we are collaborating with Renault, and this should be subjected to efficiency enhancement. Not only Nissan, it's not Nissan alone who is doing this, but in the entire picture, as a consequence, we need to recover profit of Nissan. So that is why we just focus on what Nissan is doing. So I didn't show you the synergies, but in this plan, we incorporate a lot of plan to collaborate with partners. Unless we utilize alliance partners, we are unable to realize the goal that we are setting forth. So in that sense, Renault or Mitsubishi Motors partnership will not be diluted at all. That's not our intention. Rather, the assumption that we have a strong partnership with Renault and Mitsubishi Motors to recuperate our profit. And another thing, as I referred to earlier, it's not in the slide. This case, CASE, in making investments in the areas of CASE, This is area which is common in the alliance. This will be delivered as Nissan products and Renault products, but here in the area of case, the basic technologies remain common, and how to package it into specific product is up to each brand to do. So with this development, automatically it means that we will increase collaboration among the partners. And there's another thing. Well, it's hard to talk about it today, but beyond this, mobility services is another area we are addressing. In mobility services, market expansion or customer, whether we have a customer expansion, that's a key here. So under a different portfolio or different customer base, the partners have a different customer base and different portfolio. So while we develop a common business platform, it's beneficial for all the partners. So without partner, I said it will be difficult. In these areas like mobility services, we will actively work together with the partners. That's our assumption. Excuse me, I didn't describe it elaborately, but we have a intention to collaborate widely with the partners. Excuse me, we ran out of time, so this will be the final question.
どうぞ。
日本放送の畑中
Hatanaka from Nippon Hoso. I'd like to go back to your question, the topic of transformation. Thank you for sharing with us your transformation plans. So a lot is incorporated in the transformation plan, but at the underlying matter is the passion for cars, your love for and affection for cars. So employees, management, stakeholders, related companies, I'm sure you all share the love for your car. So let me ask a very naive question, Mr. Saikawa. Mr. Saikawa, what the passion that you have, the love you have for the cars, what does Nissan mean for you, Mr. Saikawa? Since we're talking about structural change, can you share with us your passion and love for cars? What does Nissan mean to you? This is a very critical question. Thank you very much. As I mentioned earlier, the brand, the name of Nissan, and the technology of Nissan, the DNA that we have, of course, they may shift from time to time depending on the time. So the Z car, the GTR, and what is now underway, which is Nissan's intelligent mobility. All of these strengths really manifest into those specific products and technologies. So having said that, going forward, and we talked about case today, CASA, but no matter what the time is, no matter what age we are in, we will always incorporate advanced technology, and we will offer and deliver high-performance cars. We want to be a company that continues to offer those high-performance cars, leveraging the advanced technology. We should not sway from that. And we want to sustain such a power going forward. That is very critical and important for us. So what Nissan brings, well, what Nissan as a company brand offers is this. We want to make sure that we deliver these technologies in a manner which can be easily utilized by the customers. That's a challenge which we have constantly tackled. And that will manifest itself into the following. The C-crossover SUV. That, I believe, will be a flagship model. So this EV will be, on top of GTR, will be a flagship model that will really lead Nissan toward the future. So I do hope that you look forward to that new EV, this crossover EV, and also beyond 2022. I would imagine that the market would have undergone major transformation by that time. So that being the case, and some parts of the cars will be commoditized, but there will be elements of cars that will be personalized, will be utilized by the customers. So when you take a look at, so cars will be utilized as a personal space for mobility. So we hope that that is the value that we can bring, and we hope that that is the area that Nissan will be appreciated for. And we want to deliver such products. Of course, technology will be established, and there will be some aspects of cars that will be commoditized. But we want to make sure that we really project Nissan way, the unique Nissan characteristics. And we want to make sure that we sustain such a power and strength.
はい、ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much. With this, we would like to close the conference. Thank you for joining. Thank you very much.